from PRX.
Hey everybody, this is Scoots here. This is part of our summer series. This is a bonus episode that came out a few years ago, so this is the first time it's coming out. It used to be only available to subscribers. And if you like this kind of bonus material, check out, we're doing tons of stuff this summer, subscriber summer on Sleep With Me Plus, with exclusive on-location episodes from hotel balconies, catalog episodes. I'm reading a novel, all sorts of wild stuff. It's a little bit more freeform than a normal Sleep With Me episode. But if you really love episodes that are a little bit different like this one, check out Subscriber Summer. You can get access to this summer, last summer, all the bonus episode we did in the past too. But yeah, here's a little sampler, a summer sampler series, I guess. Sleepy Summer Sampler Series. And thanks so much for listening. I couldn't make the show without you. I really, really appreciate it. And I really appreciate the people who supported the show in the past, or if you're not a musician to support the show, but, you know, you support the sponsors or you're a part of our referral program. I love making these experimental episodes, so I love the chance to share one of these with you. Because, yeah, they're a little bit more silly and fun. So thanks so much. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary. It's time for the podcast, so it's going to be honest with you. I'm sitting here in a pair of shorts, and one half of my shorts, or a half of a short, because it's shorts, right? So one is a short, one half is a short, because they say a pair of shorts. So half of one of my short, a half a short. I'm a half short. I'm a half short of a lot of things. Oh boy. But I was going to say I was carrying something damp, so part of my hip side of one short. That's why half of my short is a little bit wet. And you know, I'm here to I don't know, but now I'm stuck in that idea of being short, half short, which is true. But I won't be short of words or meanders or senseless banter, because it's time for Sleep With Me podcast that puts you to sleep. And these are a few ways we're able to bring you this podcast for free on a regular basis. Hey, everybody, Scoots here, and I'm talking about the show, all the feedback I've been getting lately. And one of the most important things I've been hearing about Sleep With Me, and I've asked listeners, hey, what's most important to you, is consistency. That the show is here, you count on it, it's consistently there, over 600 episodes are ready to go, comes out twice a week. You know, I'm going to be here, and, you know, the episodes are going to be over an hour, and it's a consistent part of your routine. And, you know, from my perspective, I know how much work and how many people have to work on the show to maintain that consistency. But I have to ask you, what's that consistency worth to you? Like having the podcast there, you know, if you listen to it 2 nights a week, or if you listen to it 5 nights a week, because that's when the show is designed, is to be there every school night or every work night consistently for you. But it's just not possible for us to put out 5 episodes a week. It's harder putting out 2 episodes a week. But having the podcast there consistently for you, how much is that worth to you? Like, is it worth $60 to you over a year? Do you listen enough consistently for it to be worth $60 or $120? Is that consistency worth $240 to you a year? I mean, you could support the show monthly. But think about it. Like, do you get $240 of consistent value out of this podcast month after month and night after night, having it consistently coming out and being there for you? Or is something else more important to you? Not the consistency. It's having me as host, or having a variety of styles of episodes, or whatever it is. You can let me know. Don't wait is the thing, because consistency relies on me being here, everybody that works on the show being here, and we're a listener-supported show. So if the show is worth $60, $120, or $240 a year, consider supporting the show right now on Sleep With Me Plus. And that's your vote for consistency. So, yeah, I actually listen to 5 episodes a night consistently. So, of course, it's worth $240. Or you say, well, yeah, I don't have $240, but I could support the show at $7 a month. You can do any of that at Sleep With Me Plus. And here's the other bonus is if you support the show on Sleep With Me Plus, you don't just support the consistency for you, because I've been hearing from a lot of people who can't support the show. You support the consistency for thousands of other people night after night around the world who consistently rely on the show. But we can only do it with your support. So if you consistently get value out of the podcast, consider giving it back too and support the show at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. Oh, Mystery Bard, a lot of people help out on this show. Who are they?
Chris Posty Poster Son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes too. Carl W. the Legend. Also edits episodes. Ashley, Kenny, Scotty, Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at JonathanMann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support dear Scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. Rusty Biscuit, Lois, Hannah like banana. Leah does the transcripts.
Thanks, Mystery Bard. Don't forget, one of the most popular ways to listen to Sleep With Me is with sleep phones, and you can get Sleep With Me branded sleep phones at sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep-phones, and you can use a promo code Sleep With Me to get $5 off your order. Thanks, everybody. And what do you say we get on with the show? Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? It's time for Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake. So it could be thoughts you're thinking about, thoughts, things on your mind, feelings, like any emotions coming up for you, physical sensations. It could be anything, a lot of different stuff. It's going, that's your stuff. Holy cow, it's always there. Yeah, and sometimes it's, stuffed up in there. So whatever it is that's keeping you awake, I'd like to take your mind off of that. And the way I'm going to do it is I got this nice, safe place all picked out. It's all set aside for you. You can pick out your part of the safe place. And you don't even have to pick it out, actually. You could just lie there and be like, yeah, I'm somewhere over there. Can you imagine that? That could be a new kind of sleepy movers. Now, just hear me out. It's probably the wrong time to talk about this, so I'll try to come back to it. Sleepy movers, because I better explain what the podcast is to the newest listeners. Welcome. What I'm also going to do, in addition to taking this safe place and letting you have me arrange it for you, is I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous tangents. I'm going to go off topic. Oh boy, I'll be off topic, and then I'll be back on topic, and then I'll be off topic again. Superfluous, what did I say? Pointless meanders, superfluous dialogue, extra words. Sleepy moves. The only moves I got are sleepy. You see all those moves. Scooch, so you've been working on your moves, huh? Oh boy, have I. Oh yeah, Scooch has got moves. The moves that put you to sleep. And I said, well, those moves weren't intended to put anybody to sleep. Those were supposed to be my, if I had my fancy moves, my hot moves, my smooth moves. None of those put you to sleep too. Oh boy. Pointless meanders. All to take your mind off of stuff and be here actually to keep you company while you fall asleep. Now, if you're new, a couple of things to know. One, I'm glad you're here. Two is this podcast normally takes 2 or 3 tries to get used to. A recent reviewer said somewhere between 1 and 4 times. Give it 1 or 4 tries. And the reason for that, one is like if you're listening to a sleep podcast, you're probably naturally skeptical and doubtful about it. You say, what is this you're getting me into here? Or what are you really up to? So there's that, which is totally normal. Like if you're doubtful or skeptical, I'm a skeptic most of the time, except when I'm that other thing, gullible. I guess most of the time I'm gullible. But the rest of the time, I'm skeptical because I'm so gullible. Talk about a paradox. I've been working my whole life to try to get out of that. Maybe today's the day. I say, you know what, I'm going to be open-minded, but with, limits. I guess that's what I'm striving for. So there's a problem solved. I mean, maybe, but, but you're here. I'm here to help you fall asleep. So if you're doubtful or you're not sure, this podcast is very different than everything out there. So give it a few tries and just see how it goes. I will tell you this. What was I going to tell you? I forgot. So if you're new, a couple of things to know, other than this podcast is strange. One, this is a podcast you don't really listen to. You kind of barely listen. And you kind of do that by just kind of saying, okay, I'm going to pay attention here for a few minutes and see how it goes. Well, he's kind of not talking about anything. Maybe I don't have to pay. So you kind of let it bounce off your ears or let me kind of go out of focus. Just kind of barely listen. Kind of like this moving sleep company I'm coming up with next. So there's that. So this is a podcast, the one podcast you don't listen to. The other thing is this is a sleep podcast, but believe it or not, it's more here to be here while you fall asleep and to take your mind off of stuff. And my job is to walk at your side and kind of distract you while you fall asleep or while you drift off. I guess another part of my job is to ease you into bedtime, which kind of segues nicely into the other thing that new listeners can find a little bit off-putting, I guess would be one way to say it, is the structure of the show. Show starts off with a greeting, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary, because I'm so happy that all you are here, and I want you to feel acknowledged and seen, and know that your sleep is important to me. Then we go into business, and the business is what enables us to bring you the podcast for free, so that's cool. And then after the business, around 6 or 8 minutes into the show, we go into the intro, and that's where I ease you into bedtime. And this could throw some people off because the intro's it goes from around minute 6 or 8 to around minute 20 or 22-ish. And when I say ish, I mean, pretty, I always shoot for to shut the recorder off at 18 minutes. But you never know what'll happen, where my meanders will take us. Nowhere, mostly, but on a journey to nowhere. So sorry, I went off to, so the intro, the whole idea of the intro is it's really long. So initially you say, what do you mean the intro is 18 minutes long? That doesn't really make any sense. And I'd say exactamundo, as Stefan says. But what the purpose the intro serves is, I'm laughing just because my words were out of order there. And if my words were a machine, it'd always say out of order. You'd say, is that out of order sign because your words don't work? Your word machine doesn't work? No, it's just a heads up that any words coming out of my word machine will be out of order. So the intro is so long and meandering. One, the show has an intro to greet you and to kind of let new listeners know what's coming up and what to expect. It also kind of gives you an overview of what the show will be like overall. But also for regular listeners, believe it or not, 98% of regular listeners listen to the intro. Or fall asleep as the intro goes on because it's part of their bedtime routine. It's part of their wind down. Because if you're listening to the show, you've probably faced some kind of sleep issue before. And for most of us, it hasn't been an easy thing to fix. And we've tried the easy stuff or the magic stuff or, the stuff that you pay money for. And none of that really has worked well, or at least hasn't worked instantly. Anything that's been part of a slow and steady thing usually works better. And so the intro is kind of that in a microcosm. It's a slow and steady journey into bedtime. It's a slow wind down. So some listeners, if you become a regular listener, some listeners start it before they get into bed as they're getting ready for bed, either on their sleep phones or their headphones, or there's just their phone in their pocket or their smart speaker. And you don't even have to be in the same room as me to, not listen to me. That's how convenient this podcast is. You could say, well, I can almost hear Scoots down the hall. And, just barely hear him over brushing my teeth and washing my face, doing my skincare routine. And then I'm going to balm my elbows, kiss my shoulders, maybe, give my biceps a little pecky poo. And I can almost hear him before that smooching, between the smooches on my biceps. And then some listeners start the podcast as they get into bed and start their wind down routine or their bedtime routine. And so the intro just kind of eases you into bedtime. Then after the intro will be business. That's just kind of podcast structure. Then there's a story. Tonight it'll be our first episode of our new episodically modular serial story, Otter Things. That's OTTERTHINGS. So that'll be fun. And it's going to be a nice story about otters and other, creatures that live together in a swamp. To talk about bedtime material. And then there'll be some thank yous at the end of the show to say goodnight. So that's the structure of the show. Those are the kind of things to know. But yeah, to come back to that image of the idea of the show is like, what if there was a moving service? This would be the moving service I would offer. So hear me out. Now we would have to have a magic user on staff, or some powerful stuff, because you say, okay, so tell me about this sleepy movers. They say, okay, well, one, we're licensed and bonded, totally double licensed, double bonded, triple insured. So don't worry about that. We got all the accreditations. We even got an accreditation from the Roy G. Biv Institute because Scoot invented that anyway. That's more for holiday lights to make sure they follow the Roy G. Biv protocol. Anyways, so yeah, it's a moving service where you go to sleep and we move your stuff while you're sleeping. And you might say, including me, and we say, that is an offer in our package that, yeah, we'll move you and your bed. Totally, don't worry, we have all the technology to make it 100% totally, just totally dreamy and comfortable. And yeah, we do have a hyperbolic thing. So it's like if you're going across the country, totally, you could sleep for a few days if you like. Some people do it. That's just a bonus. They say, wow, I slept for a week too. And I moved and I woke up and everything was moved. And it's more, a lot of people think it's a gimmick, but the one thing we're known for is arranging stuff while you sleep. And now we work out a plan ahead of time. But we've also figured out a way to basically communicate with you while you're sleeping to move your furniture and lamps and stuff around. And it kind of goes like that. You just say, no, over there. No, up, no, that's crooked, please. Okay, perfect. Okay. No, now let me see how that looks over there. Okay, turn it to the left. Okay, back to the right a little. Oh boy, that's good. Okay, now just fix the lampshade. No, fix a little bit more. Okay, great. Okay, wait. No, turn it back a little bit. Okay, good. Okay, now. No, wait. Okay, push it back 1 inch. Oh, no, 4. Okay, good. All right, now over there, I want that vase moved over. Oh boy. So that's kind of how it goes. And believe it or not, it actually works. Now, again, we have a magic user on staff. And, we have lasers. A lot of it's laser-based. And like technologies from alternative universes that we've acquired, and multiverses, well, transverse plane. We do a lot of the moving on the transverse plane, but you're going to be sleeping through all that anyway. And yeah, just go, and believe it or not, then it's stress free because you don't even have to think. When you wake up, you say, okay, that's pretty much how I wanted it. And if you say, well, I'd like to move that back, you say, okay, we'll do it for you. Or you could go back to sleep and we'll do it. And it's taken some adoption, to get it on board. We can't tell anybody that we have a magic user anymore, or, only on this podcast, but other, in our main marketing. Also, it's an imaginary service at this time. So that's when it's really working good, is when you imagine it. You say, oh boy. Yep. Oh boy. Yep. No. Okay. No, I want to you're going to put all my socks in the drawer. Great. No. I like the ones, the tube socks go with my tube tops. Yep. Mm-hmm. And my Hanson DVDs, because I like to say tube top, tube top. Yeah, I know that's not that song is, but I always used to sing it that way when I had a tube top on and tube socks. Okay, good job. Thanks. And you can even tip us while you're asleep, and then you can recheck it when you're awake. You say, okay, well, 22% is, I'm going to lower it to 20, but you did a good job. So that's one of the services we're offering now. We're really happy and proud to be doing it in my imagination and possibly yours. But I think one day it'll take off. I mean, once we get the magic user down, and, the transporting of you in your bed and all that parts, and the subconscious communication or effective subliminal communication. I don't know if that's what it is. Because it's kind of like you're actively participating. So we're working on it. I mean, not really. I always just imagine. I say, well, hopefully my imagination will do the hard work, iron out all those things. And then years later, I'll say to my imagination, so how's the plan for that moving? I haven't worked on it. Okay, well, I'll imagine you did. And you say, agreed, good work. So that's another thing to expect during the show, a pointless meander like that. The last thing I'll tell you is the reason I make the show. One is because I've been there and I know how it feels in the deep, dark night, tossing and turning. And having trouble getting to sleep. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is I know you deserve a good night's sleep in a place of respite, a safe place where you can lie down and relax without the rigmarole of having to go to bed and, the non-fun part. Now, I can't promise to make bedtime fun. I can only promise to make it, not bad. You say, well, it's like not as bad as like when Scoots is there, going to bed's like, it's, it's like that thing, not bad. So, that's why I make the show. You do deserve some rest. In the world, your world and our world will be a better place when you're rested. So if you're new, please give the show a few tries. It's free, so just see how it goes. And if it works for you, great. If it doesn't work for you, check out sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you. But I'm glad you're here. I really work hard. I really yearn and strive, and I really want to help you fall asleep. So thanks again for coming by. And here's a couple of ways we're able to bring this podcast for free. Hey, everybody, Scoots. I've taken a lot of feedback trying to figure out what's really important to listeners about this show, regular listeners. So if you're new, don't worry about it. And one of the messages I got is consistency, that the podcast is here on a consistent basis for you. 2 episodes a week, and then having a lot of archived episodes, over 600 episodes you can listen to, is important. And I think having that peace of mind, the episodes are going to be over an hour. There's a bunch of episodes. There's going to be a new one. If this one doesn't work for you, the next one might. The podcast is going to be here for you. Because if you're a regular listener, you kind of count on it, right? And you count on those episodes coming out. And so if you do that, I really need you to ask you to think about that. Like if consistency and having this podcast come out on a regular basis is important to you, if the podcast, the value you get out of the show is worth like $120 a year for you, the consistency does depend on listeners supporting the show back. And so if it is important to you, consider supporting the show right now or setting an alarm right now, because that's what we're trying to focus on, is how can we keep consistently making this podcast and make it sustainable. So if consistency of Sleep With Me and variety and me being here consistently for you is important to you, please don't wait. Go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus and support the show directly. You also get tons of amazing content. Put out so much great stuff on Subscriber Summer so far. And I've been editing stuff. I've been recording stuff. I love making this show. I love putting it out on a consistent basis and working week after week with everybody else that works on this show to make sure it consistently comes out for you and it's here for you when you need it. And if that resonates with you, if consistency of Sleep With Me is important to you, please consider supporting it back, because that's really in the end what it makes possible. The show's always been people supporting the show directly is what's enabled us to consistently keep putting it out. So please consider supporting it consistently at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. Thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends beyond the binary, all my patron peeps, it's Scoots here. And this is something not just a little bit different, patrons. This is something totally different, though it's still here to put you to sleep. This is going to be a little mini-series that's exclusive to Patreon only, and actually just certain tiers on Patreon, just because of the ability. Well, I'll kind of explain all that, but this is going to be a little mini-series because the series that I'm working on, and I'll have these come out right around when the episodes are coming out, is something a little bit different, and I thought maybe we could make a making of or making as series just for patrons to have a peek into the creative process, particularly when I'm doing something that's a little bit different this time. And I'll kind of explain that really briefly. But it's also a time I want to make sure that all my freelancers are still having work or even extra work to do on the podcast. So that's a part of putting it out at a $10 and up tier, is that I know I can pay the editors to work on this show, but also it's to add value, because right now Patreon is really bringing the podcast to free to everybody more now than ever. And that's not any pressure on you as a patron. You don't have to stay a patron. The podcast is out there for free too, and you can feel free to cut back at any time. But I thought this would be a unique way to say thanks and then kind of see if this works, and maybe going forward, this could be a way that you get an extra episode or two a month that's very, very exclusive, and that wouldn't work in the free feed, I don't think. And initially, I'm shooting for about 30 minutes. There won't be an intro in these episodes, and we'll kind of see as we do a couple episodes if we if we put it out twice a month at 30 minutes versus once a month at an hour, which will work better. So that's a little bit of heads up. So this is I don't even know what to call these. So right now, to give you a bookmark, like I'm recording this on a Sunday, and I've been writing for a new series, Otter Things, OTTERTHINGS, for about a week and 2 days, so 9 days. And ideally, I'll record the first episode on Thursday or Friday of next week, so in about like 5 days or something. And this series is a little bit different because the whole idea was like that came up on an intro one time was like, what if, so there's a TV show, and I don't worry, this is going to be sleepy, but there's a TV show called Stranger Things. And there was also a kids' holiday special when I was a kid called Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. And at one point, once upon a time in the podcast, I posited, what if that was a mashup, Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas and Stranger Things. But then I had to think very creatively of like, well, what if instead of a mashup, it was strongly influenced by those two things, since I don't have the rights to any of the characters on any of those shows. Like, what if there was a show, very much like The Simpsons does this, that was called Otter Things, OTTER I think that's how you spell Otter Things. And I did have the idea for this, and I said, I don't know if it'll work. I don't know. And then I finally said, yeah, let's move forward with this. I like the idea. And before I started rewatching, which will kind of go through my rewatch of the TV show, and don't worry, in a sleepy, meandering way, I did find my main character, which is kind of the important thing. And her name's Emma Otter, Emma Otter. And so once I had the main character and I kind of said, okay, Emma Otter, I like her. And then it was kind of just playing around and saying, okay, what would just like a blue sky, just kind of trying to get to know Emma Otter's voice, not so much her spoken voice, but who is she, what's she like, I mean, she was going to parallel a character. Of course, she was going to parallel Mike because Mike's kind of, not the central figure of the TV show or the the show. Mike, I don't know, Mike does represent, I don't know, Mike is kind of like a little bit of a fulcrum on the show. And then I was also thinking about, well, how would I make this work for spoken word? And then I was waiting for the production schedule to open up and be like, okay, let's start making this. And then, so I didn't have, other than daydreaming, I don't really have any pre-prep time because I was writing Get Besos Season 3. So then as soon as Get Besos Season 3 was done, literally the next day from after recording it, I started watching the other non-Otter Things show in bits and taking notes. So I'm going to kind of run through my notes here. Like I'm not fully complete writing my first episode. So this will be part like TV recap and part looking at what I have so far. I guess it would be a spoiler for the series, but I don't think like with Sleep With Me, this would more give you even more insight, I guess, because the episode's not finished writing. So the show opens in November 6th, 1983 in Hawkins, Indiana. We see a night sky. Camera pans down to a laboratory. We see the halls. We see lights. We see sounds. We see a science guy going. We see something sweet or sweat pressing the elevator button, freight elevator. Waiting, breathing, looks up, and then he has some toast. Like he says, well, I'm going to have some toast right now. Then we see a house, and we see some kids playing a game, D&D. Mike is the DM. There's kind of anticipation. Mike is a very good DM, so he's building anticipation for the demi-glace. Like he does this double reveal. Everyone has reactions. There's a lot of character revelation very quickly that's established of like what Mike's like, what Dustin's like, what Lucas is like, and what Will is like just by the reactions. And you can see a lot about, troglodyte, that was the other thing. But like you'd see a lot, you get to know a lot about them in the relationship. Told you. Wait a second. Oh, this is when Mike's doing the reveal about like something else, the demi-glace. Then we get to learn about Will and like a little bit of a theme of like protection versus fireball, yelling. Well, the boys are having fun. They spill the dice. And Mom says, what's going on down there? It's 10 o'clock or something. It's a school night. You've been playing for 10 hours. And then see a pizza box, time to go. We see older sister, Mike's older sister on the phone. Dustin offers her a slice of pizza. Slice left, the door closes. Lucas, Dustin, and Will get on their bikes. I guess we learned something. I put Steve Harrington here. I don't know what that's from. Oh, maybe, they were talking about Steve Harrington, the boys. We see Will has honesty. He tells, so we get even more character revelation as Will's honest with Mike. The boys go their separate ways. Well, Dustin has quite the mouth on Dustin, and they're racing on bikes. Then we come back to the lab. There's some sound effects. We just cut back to the lab quick. Then I thought Will's light battery dies on his bike. And he parks his bike and he says, I'm going to take a refreshing walk home. And he walks all the way home, closes his door. Phone rings, but it wasn't what he was expecting one of his friends to call. Maybe it wasn't one of them. Then he says, I'm going to walk out back and get some air, maybe do some yard work. So he goes out into their little back storage area. And then Will says, you know what? I want to go. I think I want to go somewhere. I think I want to visit the transverse plane. And Will does that. And then we see the title, Chapter 1, The Magic of Will Byers. Then we have another very revelatory scene. We see a house, a bedroom, a radio. It's messy. There's beers. There's somebody passed out on the couch. There's smoking, cold water shower, maybe. Smoking more. Taking some medicine. Has a beer, breakfast, looks in the mirror. We realize that he's an officer. Also leaves the TV on. We get another kind of that the rain or a storm is coming. Then we're back. Then we're at another house. And a mom, Joyce, she can't find her keys. She's trying to get breakfast ready. She has another son there. We learn that the other son is working. Where's Will? Did he sleep over at one of his friend's house? She calls Mike's house. She can't believe her other son's working. We see Mike's house. Mike and his sister having trouble getting along. Then we go to Hawkins High Middle School. Hawkins High and Hawkins Middle School, we see. Bikes are parked. No Will's not there. That's weird. Then we meet some antagonists who are not nice to the boys. He gives them nicknames. We learn, I think that Dustin is double jointed, which they say it's kind of like a superpower. Then we meet Barb and we meet Nancy kind of on her own for the first time. She's made out with Steve. She's got a note for Steve. Then they go in the bathroom and make out. And Steve's trying to get her to hang out with him tonight. And she's kind of like saying, no, I got to study. She's a serious student, but we also see she's into him and she wants to study. Then we go to Hawkins PD. The character we saw is still smoking. They call him Mr. Charming and Hey Chief. Somebody's been taking garden gnomes, but he's not into it. He says, I need coffee and contemplation time. And then we see Joyce. They say, Chief Hopper, you've been playing hooky. No, he says, he goes to Joyce. He says, Will's probably playing hooky. We learn about them because she says he's not like most, not like we were. He doesn't even have good clothes. He's a sensitive kid. Her ex, we learn, is Lonnie. Then, what does this say? Owl attached, Eleanor. Owl attached, Eleanor Gillette. I don't know. So I don't know what this says. Then we meet Dr. Brenner, who shows up in a car with like a bunch of cars and suits and stuff. They suit up. They go into a snowy indoor room with a snow machine. There's lights. There's carbon scoring like from Star Trek. And there's goo. There's goo or goop. And then they say, and the girl can't have gone far. Then we see a barefoot young girl. She's in a gown. Her head is shaved. She sneaks into a cafe. The cafe is run by somebody that at times has listened to the Sleep With Me podcast. Our good friend, Mr. Sullivan. We see a little small town slice of life. We see this girl is hungry. She gets caught by the Mr. Sullivan. His name's Forgot his name in the show. It's a cool name. Benny, I think, maybe. And then we see the school. Then I took a break and I said, things to think about. What does Hawkins equal? And then I kind of maybe a refuge. What does Hawkins lab equal? Well, maybe like some sort of a visitor center or care for beings. Do the 1990s equal? Do the 1980s equal the 1990s? What does D&D equal? Mike equals Emma Otter. And then this one I just put Will, Dustin, Lucas, Demiglass. What are the procedural elements? Find 11 and find a clue. What is ham? Oh, then we go back to the play. The boys are with a teacher. They get a ham radio. There's a Hawkins AV club. Then the Chief Hopper shows up. He tells the boys to speak one at a time. And we'll hear about Mirkwood. That's where one of the places, the boys talking lore. The boys want to help, and he says, no, you can't help, because they say, well, if Will went to a transverse plane, like to do yard work or whatever, we want to help. No nonsense. Mike is a little down. He says, do I make myself clear? Then we have a flashback. Castle Byers, Radagast is the password, I think. We see mom. She has movie tickets. She's like a great mom. Then mom and Will's older brother are there. And there's wind blowing. Then we're back at the cafe. Benny is with 11 eating. He's very nice. He learns that she goes by 11 because she has that honor written on her. He asks for help. 11 fixes a squeaky fan, so we see she has powers. He said, what, like, I was trying to figure out what 11's powers will be in this show, or the 11 equivalent. We see Chief taking some more medicine. He finds a bike where Will decided to go for a walk. Then this is some dialogue I wrote. Hi, I'm Emma Otter. This is a story about me and my friends and the place we live. I'm in the 8th grade in human years. And you could call where we live a refuge, but we call it home or our town. So sometimes in the middle of stuff, I'll just write down dialogue because it's important to capture for me. And we learn that the lab has everybody's phones tapped. Then I put, is this human or a human and animal for my story, or just animals? Joyce can't stay calm on the phone. She's trying to get Lonnie to talk to her. Hopper comes to her house. He looks around. He says, looks like Will was going to do some yard work. But he also sees goop. Anybody who's seen the movie Dustbusters knows that that probably means that Slimer's around or something. Electro. Then they have a party. They say, let's have a walking party. We'll all walk. Mike says, we should be out there walking for Will. So there gets to be this theme about authority figures and parents not understanding. We see Nancy and Steve love versus Mike. No one cares about it. Like this, where Will says parents just don't understand. Then we see Hopper and the teacher trying to find Will. We learn a lot about a little bit about Hopper's backstory. Scott Clark, Miss Ratliff, is Sarah, who was a part of Hopper's backstory. He loves space and science, and lives in the city and then Will calls Lucas. Lucas, do you copy? Say over. We got to do. And then he says, listen, I've been thinking about this. Will cast fireball and not protection. He did not take the easy road. He took the protection for the group. He did what was best for the party. And Lucas says, meet me in 10. Then we see Nancy and Steve comes in through the window. We learn kind of that he's dislikable. At first, he's not very likable, I guess you'd say. I guess at all. Then we see Levin and Benny smiling. There's a knock at the door. We get maximum modine, but Levin still gets out of there. And boys on the bike go back. Stay close. Stick on channel 6. The storm has come. Dustin's not big on it. Nancy and Steve. Nancy has flashcards. Nancy's very intelligent. Steve is very persuasive. Music plays a part. But I put question mark equals question mark. Nancy also says, I'm not Lori, Mary, or Becky. I'm Nancy Wheeler. And we see Will's mom and brother going through pictures and having feelings, a lot of feelings. And the phone buzzes, and there's like static on their phone. And then there's words and rain. The boys are in the rain, not getting along. We're going to the same spot. They hear a sound, and there's a kid in the rain. It's 11, and she's in the rain. And I think that was it for the episode. So then I ran through again. I didn't have any answers. Mike equals Emma Otter, 11 Will, Modine Hopper, Dustin Lucas, Nancy Steve, Joyce's son, whose name I'll know later. Don't worry. What animals? Is Steve going to be a possum? Modine's definitely a fox. Is Will a porcupine? Who's a beaver? Who's a muskrat? A hopper would be a bullfrog. Then I did some 1991 research. These are just some songs right now. Baby, Baby, Amy Grant, Rush, Rush, Paul Abdul, right here, right now by Jesus Jones, Long something, Good Vibrations by Marky Mark, let's see, Set Adrift on Memory Bliss, Motown Philly, movies that came out that are popular, T2, Robin Hood, Beauty and the Beast, Hook, The Clarice Story, JFK, Addams Family, a movie with Nick Nolte and Robert De Niro, Hot Shots, maybe Part 2, City Slickers, Prince of Tides, Fisher King, Thelma and Louise, Point Break, Addams Family, Defending Your Life, What About Bob, TV shows, Urkel, that was Urkel's on Family Matters. So Blossom, Salute Your Shorts, Katie Couric started on Today, Simpsons, Eon Flux, Darkwing Duck, other songs, The Globe, Full House, Doogie Howser, Growing Pains, but I think that had been on for a while. Murphy Brown, Designing Women, Golden Girls. Okay, then we get back again. Emmett Otter equals Mike. Will's a beaver named Willow. Lucas is a porcupine named Elijah or LJ. Dustin, a muskrat named Vaughn, or maybe V for short. Hawkins equals a refuge, a swamp refuge. Nancy's also an otter. Maybe her name's Dari. Steve is a weasel named Tefe, maybe. Modine, a fox, Mitchell, a hopper, bullfrog, Leon or bull. Joyce is a beaver named Francis. That's a tribute. So some of these are tributes to people. Okay, then I sketched out again the kind of plot pacing of the episode. So there's the lab, and there's D&D, Nancy, Bikes, Will, whatever, Slimer from Dustbusters, the mystery, Open, Meat Hopper, No Will, Mom and Jonathan, School, No Will, the Not Nice Kids. We meet Barb and Steve, Hopper and Joyce at the station. No one seems to care. Lab, mystery, see Modine, the girl. Oh, then I just realized that Mike and Joyce are the ones that share the action belief that they should take action because maybe Will got goo on him from Slimer. 11 in the woods, goes to diner, eats, AV club fun, Hopper shows up, Hopper talks to the boys, chaos, we will help, no you won't, old fort flashback, 11 has powers, storm is coming. Then I went back to my notes again. So procedure, there could be, what is it? Parents, authorities just don't understand. Could another procedure for the Sleep With Me episode be 11 needs a snack? Where is Will? Is Will hiding? Then it was like, okay, what are the goals? There's also, this starts to formulate this idea of like, them preparing for winter in the refuge, all of the animals. Could there be a similar theme like in D&D? Like what I thought was important was that will cast protection versus fireball. In our story, if there's a snack thief, would it be, that could be not good for a refuge because every family has to store food for the winter. Reality is the snack thief is only the tip of the iceberg, much like on the show. So maybe it's the game's called Bards and Big Bunnies. Will it kind of lacks some confidence and courage and decisiveness. So in B&B, Will chooses to kind of get to protect, to lure the bunny away from taking the snacks from the refuge. I'll just get her out of there. Okay, and then the open again is like, I'm Emma Otter. Emma explains the normal world, who the players are, maybe as it unfolds, and resources, setting up the mystery, but also soothing. So I'm talking to you right now about something that happened a long time ago. Explains the refuge, how it's cool and a bit boring. It's the early fall season. Okay, and then we needed some stuff that fits this broader idea. So the edge of the refuge is a place that it can't go. Maybe there's a road and a tunnel under the road and maybe another swamp beyond with some buildings. That would be noise. There could be noises from the road and other buildings. There could be rumors. The tunnel could be the place where in this story, Will went to the other swamp under the road. Maybe there's gates for the tunnel, like or water, that lets water in and out. They could also meet 11 emerging from the tunnel, in this case, to their swamp. And then the refuge extends in the other three directions. It's just swamp and swamp and swamp endlessly. But they have borders. But the road is the one border on one side of the refuge. That's not natural. Someplace the kids always go and look and listen, but they don't go anywhere beyond there. Maybe this could play with the kids that aren't nice somehow, like the quarry did. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you about my friends. This is so. Is Nancy do we need to combine Nancy and Steve? That's another note. Let's see. Emma intro's mystery. It's going to be okay though. The bunnies, this whole idea of food, like in winter, B&B, Willow heading out, the lab mystery setup. We meet Hopper. We meet Francis and Nikki. That's Will's brother. Where's Willow? Do we go to school and meet the not nice kids? Steve, Barb, and Nancy. Bull and Francis, don't worry. Let's see, I got a couple more pages. So we play a game. This is more dialogue. Pretty much every moment we can. It's fun, it's creative, and so much more. Math, music, and theater of the mind. It's called Bards and Bunnies. It's a musical role-playing game. There's two key elements you should know about. One is music. I'm from a family of musicians, and music is a very important thing. You might have heard of the song of the swamp. It's a big part of how we communicate and tell stories here. And in the game, it's also how magic and power and problems are solved. The other element in the game is big bunnies. And you might laugh and say, big bunnies, how cute, or big bunnies in a swamp. But in the story of our swamp and in the story of the game, big bunnies are a part of the lore because you see, every family has to prepare for the winter. And they all had to store their food. And if there was a really long winter, everyone would have to rely on one another. But everyone relied on everybody preparing for the winter. And so the whole community was interdependent on preparing, yada, yada, yada. But if someone came in, particularly a big bunny, and ate all of the winter storage, it wouldn't be good for the entire community. So a rarity like a big bunny would be quite a threat. So in the lore of the game, the big bunny is, who could come to your swamp and take all of your resources. And oh boy, is that the truth. And that's the last line from Emma Otter have written. So it's just a little preview and kind of like a little look into the week of work I'm doing. And we'll kind of see how it goes. And this will be a little mini series. And for the time being, it'll come out every other week, just like a bonus episode. So thank you so much for your support and good night. All right. Hey, patrons, it's Scoot. This is our mini series, our test mini series, patron exclusive, behind the scenes, behind the production of our series, Otter Things, OTTERTHINGS. I guess it will have spoilers, but you'll be spoiled in a good way because you'll say, well, that's why this is what Scoots was working on. So this is like a pre-commentary. You know, usually at the end of the season, I do one commentary. But this mini-series, it'll be a little bit shorter episodes. I'm shooting for about 30 minutes, no intro except for this. And maybe I'll try to talk even slower than normal. I don't know. Every time I remind myself to do that, then I'm like, oh, this is my normal pace. But so, yeah, I'm going to be talking about episode 2, like to put you where we are in the process. Today is Wednesday. I believe I started recording I recorded the last episode on Friday, maybe last week, maybe Saturday. Oh, no, I did it on Friday because I wanted to put it off till Sunday. I remember making a lens video, but I said, well, we have the Friday scheduled to record it. I just wanted to polish it a little bit more. And I said, well, that's probably not good for our schedule, Scoots, and probably not the best thing for you. And I sat down and recorded it, and it went well. And actually, as a part of this, pre-commentary, I listened to the episode yesterday and took notes, and as a part of, and that's kind of new to do it at this stage in the writing process for episode 2. And so I'll kind of walk you through the work I did, and then we'll delve into my notes. And this is always the first creative thing I work on every day is our ongoing episodically modular series. So this will give you even more behind the scenes, and actually like a little bit of personal behind the scenes I'll even give you since you support the show, and maybe this something will resonate with you. And I've talked about this in other places. It is like I find that having a morning routine is a very essential part of my well-being and my nighttime ability to sleep most of the time. And so I'll tell you exactly my morning routine and my morning work routine. And it has changed a little bit. I've actually just been more, my normal routine hasn't really changed, except for one part is maybe a little bit longer, or 2 parts now, because I don't have the driving to school. But also because I had fallen off those things. Like these are positive habits. So they're easier to fall off than negative habits. So here's what happens. I wake up, right? And normally Well, usually I wake up like 2 or 3 times, like towards when I want to actually wake up, and I try to go back to sleep. But then I'll say to my smart speaker, I don't have any clock in my room except for my phone, which is put away. So I say to the smart speaker, what time is it? And I say, please tell me it's 8.5 hours or 9 hours after I've tried to fall asleep, because I've learned from tracking my sleep that, yeah, I toss and turn. So if I'm in bed trying to sleep for like 8.5 hours to 9 hours, I can almost get 8 hours of sleep. So then if it's like at the time I say, okay, or I can't fall back asleep, or it's the time I wanted to be up, I say, okay, the first thing I do is I open my blinds. Usually I close my window because I'm cold, but I open the blinds and it might be foggy or the sun might be out already. And that's just a part of my morning routine, is to get immediate light. It helps me wake up. And it's, all the studies say it's really good for your sleep cycles. The next thing I do is, because I'm in recovery, I read some stuff about recovery and the process of staying sober. Is the next thing I do is I do a couple reflections on that, because that really is one of the foundations of my day, is taking things one day at a time. Then I meditate after that, and I do use a meditation app. There's a lot of good ones out there. And right now, since my daughter stays home from school and she usually sleeps later than I do, I meditate for 10 minutes. I do a 10-minute daily meditation in the morning. Also do one at night. After I meditate, I will, ideally, I want to journal and stuff, but then I start to get, lately, that has not been part of my morning routine, or write down my dreams, or do morning pages. But I fell off of all that, probably before the holiday season. And then it's just been tough for me to get back on it because, I haven't been able to carve out that time. Also, at some point I got to visit the WC and say, hey, WC, good morning. So after I visit that's for water closet. Then I normally figure out my coffee situation, which in the past few months I've switched to now I drink both cold brew and hot brewed coffee, just because my routine was so disrupted. I have not been able to keep a steady supply of cold brew brewed. Again, this is just a new, stuff we're getting adjusted to. And this is the last day of April when I'm recording this. Then I do yoga. So I have coffee. I do watch the local news while I do yoga. Probably not the best idea, but it's reassuring to me to check in with all that. In the local news, I get to see what the weather is. I get to check in on my faves. I also am two-timing I have 2 morning news teams I switch back and forth between. Sorry, but I won't say anybody's names. And I do 15 minutes of yoga, which is more than I used to do. I used to do between 5, during when things were, I would do between 5 and 10 minutes of yoga or stretching. Now I do most likely 15 minutes. I just do half of a 30-minute yoga routine, which again, probably not the best idea because then the next day I started at 15 minutes, but I do a little warm up if I got to start in the middle of a video. So there's that. Then I go to work, and I probably switch to a little bit of national news. Again, this is just my thing. And then I turn it off, but I will drink more coffee. Maybe it's hot coffee, maybe it's cold coffee. And I'll start replying to all the emails that came in since the last time I started returning emails. I thought this was going to be we'll get to the notes though, but, and I have a philosophy, this is one of the more difficult parts for me, not replying to listener email, but there's just you never know what you're going to get in your email. And, some stuff is just more I don't usually procrastinate on listener email, but there are other emails either that are higher intensity or more work related, or someone asking for something that I want to say no to and I haven't figured out how to word that correctly. Those are the ones I kind of procrastinate on. But I have a thing called email plus one. That's my daily goal, is to get through the entire day of email, at a couple different stages throughout the day, plus one email that I was procrastinating on. Ideally not from yesterday, but from weeks or months ago. And that's like an easy goal, not to always achieve, but to say, okay, I'm not going to try to overwhelm that little kid part of me. Just do email plus one. And then when it's like my temptation is, well, okay, let's just reply to this email. Let's not skip it. Let's just get it off our plate. And I don't always do that, but literally every day, it's a process of little failures and little victories. Then after I get the emails done, then I start writing. So then I shut off the TV. Usually I don't even have music playing. And then I start working on our ongoing episodically modular serialized series, which in this case is Otter Things. So Saturday was the first day I did that. So for Saturday, I watched a half of an episode, season 1, episode 2 of the show, one of the shows that's the biggest influence of this series. And then I did the same thing on Sunday. Then on Monday, I kind of started breaking out the plot of the episode that I watched and reviewing my notes and distilling down what were the characters and their journeys throughout the episode, what were the main plot lines. Then Tuesday, I was doing that and kind of saying, well, okay, let's see what our characters will be doing. If that's what the characters in the show are doing, how does that translate over with some of the characters? And what are going to be the other tougher ones, which we'll talk about. Then Wednesday, I was working on that again and listening to the episode 1. And then today, Thursday, I was breaking down what was the most difficult stuff that didn't directly translate from the streaming show, to our series, just because of character differences and motivation differences and stuff like that. And just stuff I was like, well, I don't know if this quite fits our version, our parody or whatever, tribute or mashup. So let me see. So let me go through all my notes, and I'll make them sleepy. So this is from the watch of the show. It starts with a stormy storm. In the outside shot of the house. Then we see Eleven's in a jacket. The other kids are being very caring, but they're asking tons and tons of questions nonstop, and also making guesses at what's going on with 11. 11 does not like the storm. We see some kind of cultural differences, with 11 and the kids, and that she's a fan of nightlights. I guess I put it that way. Then the guys are alone and they're like talking back and forth. And Will says, "Don't worry, we could." Will, no, not Will. Mike says to no. Then they kind of go back and forth between, well, who is she? Where did she come from? What does she want? And Lucas is very, the voice of the goal. Like, he's like, well, our job is to find Will, our friend. This is a parent's job. Which, again, I don't know if it wasn't, I haven't rewatched, I have rewatched season 1 a few times for pleasure, but I haven't done an intense rewatch to see, is this a thematic thing? But it is in season 1 or episode 1 and 2 of as I said last time, parents just don't understand, or authority figures, in Joyce's case, just don't understand. Joyce is saying that, seems to be saying that too. So, I don't know, thematically, that's also a conflict in the show of hey, we should tell our parents, and Mike saying, no. But then in this one, he says, well, I have an idea of how to tell. I got a plan. We'll help Elle tonight, and then Elle will we'll go to my mom tomorrow. But also it feels like Dustin, Lucas, I feel like Mike is over his head. Then we have Mike and 11 alone, talking about names. 11, Elle, that's your name. Good night, Mike. We see Elle's kind of face. Then chapter 2 on Maple Street, person on Maple Street. Then we kind of see the where Joyce, Jonathan, and Will live, some scenes of the outside, somebody working on the phone lines, and then we see Joyce. We see Jonathan kind of trying to take a parental role and say, "Hey, Mom, have something to eat. Here's the things. Okay." Then Hopper comes, and again we go through this trust, a little bit of trust. They talk about the phone, and again, Hopper is speaking. Now, I guess we kind of see through the journey that I don't know if Hopper's just speaking more from his role than from his heart about, well, Joyce, this is what I think, this is what I think. And she says, well, put yourself in my shoes. Again, a little bit of trust. Lonnie comes up, and we see Hopper still kind of needing external help himself. Then Jonathan says, well, let me go to Lonnie's. And again, he says, let the authority figures handle it. Then we see Eggo Waffles, Mike and his family. Mike's eating fast. He kind of calls out Nancy. Nothing. That's funny. We see 11 in a walkie-talkie, signal weak, breakfast. Then Mike says, you got to go, after this, you got to go to my door and tell my mom, pretend you just came over. And she says, no, no, no. Mike says, no. She shakes her head, no. And she says, this is, capital T rhymes with P, and that stands for pool. And I'm talking about the game billiards, not a swimming pool. And she does the pool shot move. Mike's late for school. Then we see at the lab that they have all the phones tapped, that they didn't realize everything. They're surprised. They say, Will's out on his own hero's journey too? What? Nothing. Joyce... some class. Oh, that's like with the chief and everybody out looking. School. We see Barb, Nancy, and Steve. Party time. No parents. We see Jonathan, who's down. Nancy's nice to him. I'm sorry. Everyone's staring. I'm sure it's going to be okay. There's a bell. There's a chemistry test, which I thought was just brilliant. Like this tiny thing with Steve and Nancy, and I don't know, just a brilliant thing to toss in there. We hear about an assembly. We see Dustin and Lucas in class, and then Mike's not there. Again, Lucas says, we're here, we're like, Will is my friend, not this other person. So he's very adamant. We find out Mike is skipping school. Him and Al hang out. He's got a 22-inch TV, family photos. Nancy, Al thinks is pretty. Parents, lazy boy. You could definitely see the influences, I think other people talked about, other movies. Trust Me, okay. Mike says fun, right? Then we see Jonathan. Music plays a big part in this episode. He's in his car thinking, determined. Then he flashes back to him and Will listening to music. And the dad kind of just being, not as present and disappointing Will and Joyce, no show, Lonnie. Lonnie's a bum. And then also Jonathan being this true mentor almost, the greatest brother anybody could have had. I mean, in some sense in these episodes, this whole series, not only is he teaching Will about cool music, he says, you know what, you shouldn't do things to make people like you or because people tell you to. Leaning something. I don't know what that says. Church bell, birds, downtown. Lonnie. I don't know. Joyce. Joyce goes through the bushes. We see again the storm, or maybe she's talking about it. She wants another phone, 2256. She says, are you kidding me, Donald? I've worked here so long, 10 years. And this kind of really felt like, in a positive way, like this time watching it, I mean, maybe it's just my awareness now. It's like, wow, Joyce really represents a hard worker and the struggle of the hard worker and the dignity. And then saying, hey, you treat me with some dignity and respect here, Donald. I've given you a lot. So I don't know. I was impressed with that. 2 weeks pay, the phone, and some candy stuff. Then we see the phone company. No, it's the lab. They all clear, moding. They look around the area in the shed. Extraordinary. Mike and 11 play some toys. Yoda, Force. 11 likes the trophies. A science fair, friends. She sees Will. She knows him. Mom pulls up. Mike says, play hide and seek. She says, no thanks. He says, please. We see the Papa Copper. Then Mom says, Mike, you could talk to me. Parents do understand. And then Mike says, I don't know, Mom. Yeah, he goes back to 11. She says, I didn't like, I had thought about Papa and Copper. And Mike says, don't worry. And it kind of says, promise, I think. Joyce and phone, we see kind of how Joyce, things aren't easy. Even connecting the phone isn't easy. Again, a little moment that I said, the plugging into the phone, that just didn't, like, I'm like, wow, what writing and directing and planning to even have a little struggle in that scene that kind of shows Joyce's character. I mean, I'm really learning a lot. And we see them looking at the place where kids go, the swimming hole, Benny's Burgers. We learned the chief was once a big city cop. Benny was his friend. Then we go out to like whatever, River City or Big City. Jonathan, kind of dirty house, but not like a super dirty. Gum chewing, MTV watcher opens the door. Jonathan scans the house. Lonnie rolls up on him. Gotcha. We see, oh no, he says, you're stronger now, kid, come here. And Jonathan does not want any closeness with Lonnie. Then we see Lucas and Dustin and Mike, like, what are you thinking, man? And he says, like, she knows about Will. And Lucas, out of many times, again, Lucas is a very important character. Representing this friendship viewpoint in a strong version of it. And so he kind of represents that against this. What about, what do you do up to? And then again, maybe this isn't like, I don't know, without Lucas, and I mean, Dustin offers a lot too, but like Lucas counters Mike in a way that then leads them to solutions, I think, without, I don't know, very nuanced. And no wonder the show's so successful. No. Plan A, tell your mom. Then we see 11's powers, and she says no. So then again, you have a third viewpoint, and almost Dustin could be like our viewpoint or, another kind of trying to compromise. Then we see Lonnie and Jonathan, no trust. Again, trust comes up. Lonnie, not a joke. Like he thinks everything's a joke. He says something about Hopper, or tells Jonathan to move to the city. And that says not nice stuff about Joyce, and Jonathan rolls out. Hopper's looking at these other mysteries that have cropped up with Benny and a kid and food, different kid or not, could be. And even the person interviewing says, could be Lonnie's kid, could be. Nancy and Barb on the phone, quiet, Dustin and Lucas, special assembly. Oh, yeah. Everybody's at dinner. Levin's walking around. Then there's kind of more of figuring out Will. They find a gown, eating meatloaf. Again, we see more of Levin's superpowers. We want to find our friend. What is a friend? Lucas kind of talks about spit swears and never breaking your bond. tell each other things. Barb and Nancy. Barbara says, no, let's not party. Nancy says, we got to party. But you could be my party guardian. Then they show up and Steve says, hello, ladies. And then Hopper wakes up. He's thinking and saying, geez, I got bad luck, I think. That's what it is. So we see that what he was saying to Joyce isn't naturally what's in his heart, or it's already changed over the episode, and the episode has changed his feelings. Elle sits at a table, like the Dungeons and Dragons board. She flips it over. Did you see him on Mirkwood? She puts his thing in the thing, which again, this will develop more. And then she puts a big bunny on there. And we see Jonathan in his car. He does some looking. He starts taking pictures. Where are you? Then he hears pool party, and he sees Steve's having a pool party that he wasn't invited to. We see Nancy and Steve kind of like their flirtiness, going up. We see Barb is in a really tough spot, and we've all been there in this kind of tough spot where it's like, I don't want to be here, but I like want to be a friend. And I like, also I'd like to let myself go and join in, but I don't want to join in. So I thought that was really good. And I think probably maybe that's part of why everybody had such strong feelings. Like, where's Barb? Jonathan's taking pictures of the pool party. Then we see this great scene with Joyce, and another phone call, and Joyce being aware that her instincts, it's beyond what her instincts are. But there's also this really important scene because, Will's trying to communicate with her through electricity and stuff, or everything's trying to communicate with her. And at first Joyce goes out of the house, but then she sits in her car and she realizes the stakes, and she finds this internal strength and courage, and she goes back into the house. Again, these little things that you say, whoa, wow, storytelling wise. I mean, this was these guys' first series, anyway, then they would go back. So just really important, even though Joyce's kind of story was I don't know, this is a really big, and again, Winona Ryder's an amazing actress. So it's a combination of all that. I don't know. When I'm picking it apart, I'm like, holy cow, there's quite an arc. Then the pool party, towering off. Where are you going? Barb's kind of, again, trying to be this voice of, for Nancy. And I mean, a lot of Barb's advice ends up being correct. Then Jonathan, more pictures, and Steve and Nancy do some smooching. Jonathan's taking more pictures. Barb is, kind of contemplating things. And she says, well, I'll go, I'm going to take a big trip. And so she says, I'm packing my bags and taking a big trip. Jonathan leaves because his camera ran out of film. And we see Steve and Nancy. And we realize, okay, Barb went on her own trip. She went back, she went on her own journey. Okay, so then I kind of ran through, again, okay, we got the boys in 11. What's the plan? Who is she? What's wrong with her? This is breaking up we have Joyce under stress, Hopper, trust with Lonnie, trust with Jonathan, 11 and Mike, don't tell your mom. Let's find out about Will, searching, party tonight, trust me, Barb, Jonathan, Joyce, Lonnie, and Will. Music. Joyce gets now phone and money. I don't know. I really like that scene too for Joyce's assertiveness. Lab question mark. No trust. Lonnie, Jonathan. I don't know what that says. Looking around. Lucas and Dustin verse 11. Powers revealed. 11 and friends question mark. Barb and Nancy. Hopper down. Will and the bunny. 11 shows this. Joyce with the phone and the light communication. I mean, initially it's a beginning of a mystery. Steve and Nancy, Jonathan, Barb and Bunny. So after that, I said, okay, 11 powers, tension, where's versus where's Will. Nancy, like tension Barb versus Steve and the cool kids. Nancy pushes her own limits. Jonathan and Will, love. Lonnie's bum. Jonathan, trust me, or Joyce, trust me, adults. I'm going to figure this out. Show me some respect. This is not easy. I'm going to find, I'm figuring this out. Hopper, something's not right here. Lab, what? Oh, wow. Then these are notes from mammals versus non-mammals, question mark. What is she really, question mark. Then the hardest thing was like, because I don't have a Jonathan and the Steve character is actually Mike's brother in our story. And Willow's sister, is the Nancy character. She also kind of has to play the Jonathan character, and trying to figure that out it's easier from a storytelling perspective for a sleep podcast. And then it adds to new creative decisions. So it's kind of interesting. So it's like Willow versus Tefe. Who wants to party? This is serious. Like Otter needs to swim, baby, kind of Tefe. Was there something with Tefe and Uncle Emmett? Is Uncle Emmett playing some sort of father figure? Then again, like the idea of the Jonathan and Joyce arc in this episode and the Lonnie arc. At first I thought I was going to get rid of Lonnie, but then I discovered that Lonnie's probably a necessary step on Dari's journey. So it's like Dari and Francis, how does Steve and Hopper fit into all of this? And then I was just trying to connect all the dots. You got Tefe, you got Emma, Barb, Dari is kind of at the middle of all this. So we got Willow, you have Francis. Is it Uncle Emmett? Is that a thing? It didn't end up solidifying for me, Uncle Emmett. Then I went to like a little bit easier to track, at least from the episode. Is like, okay, found Platty Billy. What do we do? This would be if it was like scene for scene. Billy is different. Emma cares, has a plan. Good night. Time for plan. No, not a good idea. Okay. New friends, no plan, fun. What do we do about the flashbacks? Mom's here. Emma, friends are not okay with this. Willow, no versus no, like no of Lucas in the story versus Levin's no. Powers, we're still not okay with you, kind of from Lucas's standpoint. I know Willow, Bunny Goose. So that was that one. Then Francis and Dari. And this one, we'll get to it. So stressed, Mom. Let me help. A little bit of trust. Goose chase. I'm not sure it's even a goose chase. Like them saying, well, it's not that big a deal. Joyce, Francis saying, I will wait by this phone. I need a phone, money, a little bit of trust. In the center of kind of all this is that the fact that Francis is a good parent, or Joyce, wait, something is I'm trusting my gut here. Another phone out. This is something beyond normal, and not easy. I need some extra courage, but I will face this, because I know what I want, or I'll try to understand it if I can't face it. Then this is like yesterday and today's writing. It's like, okay, Tefe, Dari, Barb, field party. Is it Tefe's friend? Tefe wants to hang out. Dari obviously is more thinking about Willow, but is also curious. She likes Tefe. Her friend is not so sure. Another question was like, do we need Barb, or what should we do about Barb yesterday and this morning? And I was like, no, not a party. What about a road trip? And it was like a fundraiser party. That was another idea. I was like, oh, well, Tefe could borrow the family car, and then they could try to go to at least, at first it was like, oh, the dad's Beaver's Lodge. See Lonnie character. Then maybe Barb's like, this isn't a good idea. Does the Guardian, does Francis, then I was like, oh, wait a second. What if it's Barb and Steve, or Barb and Tefe in this case? And then at the same time, Dari's facing her father. And then what are Dari's limits that she's pushing or rediscovering? How does music play into all this with pop songs and radio? Is Dari's magic, or I mean, goes to another subject, but does magic play out? Is music in this our series? So is yesterday's notes. Then it's like Tefe party. No, this is Tefe and Dari. What about a fundraising party? No. What about a road trip? Well, this is Dari proposing it. Well, I could get a car, because she really says, well, I want to go see and check in with my father. Barb is maybe more of like Tefe, likes Tefe too. And then I realized, oh, wait a second, this is a double play. So Nancy Dari is playing Steve Tefe to get him to drive her to the thing. And at the same time, like, at least to initially create some stuff, Steve Tefe actually, like, Dari thinks Steve likes her, but really he likes Barb, the Barb character. Also, I think it'd be good for this one if, like, there's some echoes between, whatever the dad's name is, Lonnie and Tefe. It won't be Lonnie in our show, but who's on the road trip? Is it two cool kids and Tefe, Dari, and Barb? So, yeah, does Dari play Tefe, convince him to drive? And that's kind of led into today. So it's like, okay, this is maybe Dari's sister. She's thinking about Willow. Her mom's under stress. She also has a crush on Tefe a little bit. Her dad's a bum. Does she go? But she really is wondering, like, from the first episode, like Leon said, or Bull, like, what if, like, Willow just did start her career and went out on the road? Would she go to her father, who's a busker? Do you want to party? Barb is going to come too. No, I don't know. Okay, talk me into it. Don't go. How would we get there anyway to go to your dad's? No party, no fundraise, but you have a car. We could go on a road trip, right? Road trip, deal with dad, leave Tefe alone with Barb. Then there's this double, like Barb and, this is a spoiler, I guess, but Barb, I mean, it's not set because I record in like another 10 days, but, or a week. But yeah, maybe there's like, so Barb and Tefe get together. Dari's not, she's unhappy with her dad and Tefe at this point. But again, we have to get to like something more. So it's like, okay, I'm going to drive because I'm not happy. You two just sit in the back. I don't know what happened to the other two kids. But I'm here, like, so she's almost like taking on a Lucas style thing of like, well, Willow's what's important, not Tefe and not Lonnie. And then Parks, Tefe maybe also feels like say, hey, I need to owe her apology. Then that's when Barb goes out on the road. And then the last thing I came to this morning was just questions about Francis Joyce of like, okay, where does Francis work? What are the powers that Francis is observing? And they said, oh, okay, music, wind chimes versus the lights and the power in the regular episode. Is it a phone that's the issue? What does she do to comfort herself? What music is she into? Is she into like hip hop or punk, or what is Francis really like? And that's where I left off with my writing. Oh, so I have two, like, I guess, that's it. I mean, I have a tiny bit of notes from the first episode. Episode 1, radio show, 1991. Duffer Refuge, Hanson Town, River Bottom. Emma, parents' baby brother, Tefe, who's Emma's best friend, Willow, Dari, Francis, Big Bunnies and Bards, Music, Stronghold and Nuts, Sound Funnel, Chief Resource Team, Chief Bull, 3761. Into that episode, I wanted to cut out some stuff about technology, because it's like, okay, wait a second, I'm kind of just exploring some of the, like, oh, where is this, Willow head out on her own, Goose Chase, out on the road as a bard, Otter Things, Billy, Sullivan, Phones, Fox, Max, Modine, Got Them, Quiet Boats, Pancake O'Clock, Emma in Room, Double Dare, Tin Can Phones, Double Bait, High Talk Words, and then that's it. So thanks, and good night. Thanks, patrons. All right, everybody scoots with your tuck you in. Thank you. Good night message. Kind of week or month in review. And it's been a pretty big month or 2 months. We launched Bedtime Stories from Sleep With Me, which offers the story-only version of shows from starting a few years ago, right around episode 1000. So if you prefer a story-only version of show, or you listen 5 times a week, it might be something to check out. And you can check that out right in your podcast app of choice. That's an ad-supported version, Bedtime Stories from Sleep With Me. If you really love the story-only stuff, you can get, I think we have around 900 episodes in the story-only feed on Sleep With Me Plus, and those are ad-free. And this month is made possible, like, more than ever by the people who support the show directly. And that's the only reason we're able to be here, is those people that do take action. I mean, I know, and I realize, don't worry, if you're not in a position to support the show financially, that's totally cool. Like, the beauty is, the people that do choose to take action because they can afford it, have got you covered, and they want to have you covered because they care about you, because they know how you feel. So you could just help join me, actually, in thanking these people: Ava, Caroline, Royce, Cam, Thomas, Alana, Lucas, Virginia, Sarah, Julia, Michaela, Holly, Jennifer, Alec, Evelyn, Ellen, Dina, Kylie, Dave, Alex, Kaylee, Jonathan, Warren, Christine, Simon, Christopher, Nanette, Natasha, Becca, and Mary Kate for supporting the show for this month, for signing up to support the show directly. And let's run through what came out this month, let's check Pocket Casts here. Have so in the like, this is on Sleep With Me Plus, but also in the public ad-supported feed too. We had all intro episode come out. Then we had, let's see, 1274 Stuffed Animal Planning, Paper Mache Tea Time, that was Multiplex 10, Stowe Lake on Location, Repeat, that's a listener favorite, Guild Web Series Watch, episode, Season 1, then we had all intro for the 4th, Alba Salix Season 1, Episode 5, To Market, 2021 Fearless Flyers, Fall and August Edition, Rent, Brainbots, that was part of our Trevor Project, Orlando Park Stop fundraiser, Multiplex 9, The Crafty Lady, Slurpin' DJ Echo Bass, that was non-location listener favorite, 540, Ray at the Animal Kingdom in Epcot, Cooling It Down, and Alba Salix Season 4, Episode 1. So yeah, if you're on Sleep With Me Plus, those are both in the story-only feed and the full episode feed, as well as in the ad-supported version of Sleep With Me as well. Oh, we also launched a TNG-only feed on Sleep With Me Plus for Boar Besties, or you could subscribe to that if you're a TNG super fan. And all night, TNG came out for Boar Besties and Boar Friends Volume 10. Then all intro episodes came out on June 27th, June 13th, and June 5th was TNG All Night Volume 9. And then another all intro. Then in the bonus feeds, oh boy, is subscriber summer in full swing. We got Posty putting out Posty Super Deluxe episodes every couple weeks in the Welcome to Scooterville series. We had a catalog episode, Sierra Online's 10th anniversary. Another Scooterville episode for Boar Friends and Boar Besties, Ray riding a bike in Saratoga Springs. Then we had Frankie, like the pre-chapters to the book Frankie and Victoria. It goes by other names too. That's like a subscriber read with me. Glamping. Then we had Scooter's version, which is a Sleep With Me Plus bonus. San Francisco balcony episode. So a lot of cool stuff there. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you listen to the show. I'm glad I get to put you to sleep. Thank you so much. Whether you support the show or not, I really thank you for listening and sending your positive energy out. Or just falling asleep because I've been there and not being able to sleep. So good night.